Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. UFC 268 is a stacked fight card from top to bottom, amazing fights. But unfortunately, we are losing one of those amazing fights. It's being reported Luke Rockhold is out of his fight with Sean Strickland. I was really looking forward to this fight. Apparently, Luke Rockhold has a back injury. He's going to need, a month or two off, do some physical therapy, and then he's going to possibly return in the future. But in the meantime, Sean Strickland's going to need a new opponent. And I'm going to go through the middleweight division and we're going to see if we can find Sean Strickland a replacement opponent. But before that, I'm really disappointed that we're losing this fight. I mean, Luke Rockhold has not fought since July of 2019 when he was brutally KO'd at light heavyweight against Jan Blachowicz, who is the current champion. And I was really excited to see Rockhold not only return, but return to the middleweight division. And I've said it in the past, with the state of the middleweight division right now, and the way Israel Adesanya is cleaning it out and will potentially clean it out if he beats Robert Whittaker again, that Luke Rockhold with one or two good wins is right back in the title discussion. And, Luke Rockhold's a former champion, has some name value, and I'm curious with all the time off how he's going to look upon his return. So I'm really disappointed. And Sean Strickland was a perfect opponent for him. Sean Strickland's currently ranked number 7 in the UFC official rankings. So it wasn't like Luke Rockhold was coming in, getting some type of warm-up fight. He was going right against Sean Strickland, who's coming off a big win against Uriah Hall. And Sean Strickland is finally making his way up the rankings. And this was going to be his toughest test to date. I know Rockhold had been out a while, but still, former champion, excellent jiu-jitsu, excellent top game, very good striking. I was really interested in this fight. And also, I was curious, how was Luke Rockhold's chin going to hold up? I know Sean Strickland isn't the biggest power puncher, but, Luke Rockhold's notorious for his chin. And I was curious, he's going to get hit by Sean Strickland. Is it going to hold up or is it not? So there was just so many facets to this fight that I was really looking forward to, and I'm really bummed out that we're losing it. And Sean Strickland is now going to need another opponent. So let's look through the middleweight division, and maybe I can predict his next opponent because I'm hoping the UFC finds somebody to step in at UFC 268. It's November 6th, so it's still about a month away. So it's not like it's extremely short notice. It's still short notice because guys like about 2 months of a training camp before a fight. So it's only about a month away, a little less than a month actually. But I think maybe the UFC can still find a late notice replacement. So you look at the division, Robert Whittaker's ranked number 1. He's fighting Israel Adesanya next. That's clear as day for the belt. Paulo Acosta is ranked number 2. He has a fight with Marvin Vettori coming up the end of this month, who's ranked number 5. You have number 3, Jared Cannonier. He's fighting number 4, Derek Brunson. Number 5 is Marvin Vettori, which I've already talked about. He's fighting Paulo Costa. Then you have number 6, Jack Hermansson. He is free right now, and he's coming off a big win over Edmund Shabazian. Not the craziest win, but still a very solid win in the division, and that was early in May of this year. Then number 7, Sean Strickland. Number 8, Darren Till. He's coming off a loss to Derek Brunson and also supposedly has a knee injury. Number 9 is Kelvin Gastelum. He's coming off multiple losses. And number 10 is Uriah Hall. So you look at the top 10, there's not a lot of options. Uriah Hall just lost to Sean Strickland. It's not like they're going to book that again. And I really don't see, unless the UFC is really desperate to keep this fight intact, I really don't see Sean Strickland taking a fight outside the top 10. Maybe he will. Maybe I'm dead wrong. But I really narrowed this down to 2 options. I basically already told you. And for me, the most likely option is Jack Hermansson. Jack Hermansson's coming off a good win over Edmund Shabazian. And Jack Hermansson's currently ranked number 6 in the division. So he's ahead of Sean Strickland in the rankings. The fighters care about that. He's not on a big streak or anything. He lost to Marvin Vettori before he got the win over Edmund Shabazian. But I think there's a chance, the UFC might try to make that fight. It would be the number 6 middleweight in the world versus number 7 middleweight in the world. And I think Sean Strickland would want to take that fight. And maybe Jack Hermansson get a decent payday because the UFC tends to pay guys more when they step in on short notice. I would love that fight. It would be more of a grappler versus striker matchup. Jack Hermansson tends to like to take the fight to the ground, look for submissions, look for ground and pound. Meanwhile, Sean Strickland is a volume guy, pressure guy. He likes to keep the fight standing. So as far as matchup-wise, I love striker versus grappler matchups. So I really think that would be a great fight, and I think it would make sense for all guys. I mean, Jack Hermansson, that would be another good win for him. He can move himself up the division a little bit more, maybe. I don't know. But a win over Sean Strickland is better than probably any of the other fights that he's going to potentially get. Now, the only other option would be Kelvin Gastelum as far as the top 10 goes. Kelvin Gastelum's currently ranked number 9, but Kelvin Gastelum is on a crazy losing streak. I think it's like 3 fights right now. But his last fight against Jared Cannonier, who's number 3 in the division, was, easily could have went his way. I think it was a very close decision. I don't think anybody would have complained if it would have went to Kelvin Gastelum or not. And Kelvin Gastelum is an absolute savage. He will take the toughest fights, and he's in a bad spot right now. I know he needs a fight that really, maybe is a tune-up fight, people would call. Kelvin Gastelum needs to get back on track right now. Otherwise, the UFC may cut him, honestly, with the losing streak that he's on. I think, and if you heard me talk about Kelvin Gastelum before, I still think Kelvin Gastelum is top 5 at middleweight. Honestly, I really think he's better than most of these guys. I think he's even better than Marvin Vettori. Derek Brunson, Jared Cannonier, Paul Acosta, Robert Whittaker. Okay, he's definitely not better than Robert Whittaker. I would give him a chance against Paul Acosta. Obviously, fought Jared Cannonier to a split decision, and that he's ranked number 3. I think he could beat Derek Brunson, and I think he could beat Marvin Vettori. I know he has a loss to Jack Hermansson by submission, but that was so early in the fight. It was a leg lock. Maybe he could beat Jack Hermansson. But I don't think it would be a bad fight for Sean Strickland to take, but I don't think he's going to want it. But I really think those are the two options. I think Kelvin Gastelum would definitely step in. He's an absolute maniac. He would take this fight and hope to jump back into that top 5 rankings. But I really believe, as far as Sean Strickland goes, I don't know if he's going to take that fight. Kelvin Gastelum is high risk, low reward. Kelvin Gastelum could easily beat him. And then if he loses to Kelvin Gastelum isn't even ranked, in the top 5. He's ranked down at number 9, or he's not ranked above him, I should say. So he's ranked a few spots behind him. And while I don't necessarily care about the UFC official rankings, I more or less use them as a reference. These fighters are really looking at that, and I almost feel like the rankings are a curse a bit. Because I'm not fighting that guy. He's behind me. I only want to fight guys who are ranked above me. So I almost feel like the rankings cause more problems than they're worth. So my official prediction, November 6th, Madison Square Garden, we are going to get Sean Strickland versus Jack Hermansson. Whether or not it happens or not, only time will tell. We will see. Hopefully we find out rather quickly. But that's my prediction. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.